The January regular board meeting for the School District of Waukesha Board of Education. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Eric Brooks.
Here.
Natalie Gren.
Here.
Thomas Harlan.
Here.
Betty Koenig.
Here.
Carrie Kozlowski.
Here.
Diane Voigt.
Here.
David Watt.
Here.
Anthony Zenobia.
Here.
Kelly Piasek.
Here. And Ms. Ettinger, can you please verify that the meeting has been properly posted?
Yes, it has.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We are going to begin tonight with recognition, so I'll turn it over to Dr. Siebert.
All right, thank you, Dr. Piasek. Tonight, we are very excited and have the great honor to recognize Banting Elementary School. So Mary and your staff, would you please come to the podium as we get ready to recognize you. The reason that Mary and her staff are here is because Banting has been recognized by the National Association of ESEA, Elementary and Secondary Education Act, State Program Administrators, or NASPA, as a National ESEA Distinguished School by the State Educational Agency in Wisconsin. It's a prestigious honor awarded to only 100 schools nationwide and highlights the school's exceptional achievement and commitment to student success. So before we turn it over to Mary, I just want to say that I couldn't be more proud of you. I couldn't be more proud of your staff, the way that you work together tirelessly as a team to meet the needs of your students. You consistently earn the highest possible rating on the DPI report card of significantly exceeds expectations. And you at Banting are a model of what high expectations, rigor, and teamwork mean for increased student learning. So I'm certainly very proud of all of you, and I'm very proud of your kids and families on achieving this well-deserved honor. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, I did talk to the whole staff. I called them into a meeting at the end of a school day, and I said, we are going to apply for this, and we have to do all of these things, and you have to watch a 5-hour video, and you have to answer some questions, but that should only take you a little while, and it has to all be done by Friday. They were looking at me like I was crazy. And then I said, how about if we just were told by DPI that we received this award, we didn't have to apply for it, but they looked at our information and our scores and the difference that we make in the growth of our students, and they said, you get the award. They were very, very happy when I said that. So it doesn't happen, as you said, without really everyone working together. And I've said so many times that we have a high capacity staff at Banting, and they work so hard every single day. When they receive the data from their students, they're already saying, okay, well, we did this well, but what are we going to do to get to the next step? And because of that, we realize such great growth. So we have parents who are very involved and partners with us, students who are working hard, and teachers who are really so dedicated. So because we've received this award, there's a national conference, and we'll be recognized at the national conference, and then a video that we put together about the work that we do at Banting, and that will be on the national website for the year. So I want these teachers to introduce themselves because they're a part of our great staff, so if you will just step up.
Tatiana Carnevale, special education teacher.
Nicole Zeroth, 4K teacher.
She's the right size.
I'm sure.
Stephanie Pleva, I'm the school psychologist.
And Michelle Creasy, I'm a math instructional coach.
So just a small group of the amazing staff that we have that really make everything tick and come together. Without them, we would not realize the growth that we do in our students. So I am very, very blessed and appreciative of all the great work that they do to move our students forward.
I know they stepped away already, but there might be
Might be
a
questions.
or a
Yeah,
comment.
let's see. Or comments.
I just first would acknowledge that many of you are familiar to us already because you're already participating in professional learning communities and the advisory teams on curriculum, or special events and special tracks that we're doing with students. And so we're welcoming many of you back because you spend a lot of time doing the things that actually steer what happens across the district. And I think that's actually evident in what's happening at Banting, because you have such a mastery of the work that you're doing. And so we appreciate all of that you do, not just for the students at Banting, but for the rest of the district as well. It's noted for sure. Is there anyone else who would like to comment? Mrs. Voigt?
I'm looking forward to seeing the video that you put together. You know, hopefully that'll be available on our website as well, not just for the national audience, but for us to truly appreciate the great things that you're doing.
And it's only a 2-minute video. It's like an elevator speech. So it gives you.
Even better. Even better. Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you again, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we're moving next to a report from our student representatives, and tonight we have East and eAchieve who will be represented. We're going to begin with East, I think, this evening. So we have Marcela Castillo, who is speaking to us on behalf of East. Welcome, Marcela.
Can I move this down?
Sure.
Just the top? Like that?
Maybe. Okay, how's that? Can they hear you talk?
Hello?
Oh, maybe a little closer to you.
It's only the top that bends, but you could slide it. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Now the whole thing bends.
Try
You
that.
could,
Talk
Hello?
loud. Talk
Hello?
loud.
Is that
we
good?
can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Maricela Castillo. I'm a senior at Waukesha East. I'm so excited to be here tonight to share what us students have accomplished during the first semester. Waukesha East is different from any other school experience many of us had in the past. Learning doesn't only happen in classrooms, it happens through community experiences, projects, responsibilities, and real connections to our community and our futures. One of the best parts of East is the studios. This semester we had several new studios where we really got to learn by doing. The baking studio, this isn't just about baking treats. Students compare box versus scratch recipes through school-wide tasting, create cost comparison sheets, practice recipes, and work together to create student-designed cookbooks. It's math, science, and creativity all in one place. Other studios include the River Study Studio, where students talk about major floods in Waukesha's history and design models showing how floods diverted in an eco-friendly way. The Fish Studio is where students collect and analyze data, design their own lures, and study water, currents, and temperatures. It's like combining science and math, all in the outdoors in one. In the Soundscape Studio, students use song lyrics and music to explore the literacy elements like theme, imagery, and tone. Then they write and create their own narrative stories. At East, we believe in authentic and meaningful learning. The belief is demonstrated in many ways. Seniors also worked on capstone and impact projects, which are now a graduation requirement. Students pick a topic they care about and create ways to positively impact the community. This semester, students adopted a family in the Christmas Clearing Council, where students held weekly bake sales selling tasty treats, hot chocolate, and coffee to raise money for our family. Students also collected food and clothing donations for local homeless and women's shelters. Through these projects, we learned leadership, responsibilities, and empathy, and we saw that school can really make a difference in the community. We also participated in a financial literacy program with Secure Futures, also called Money Coach. We learned skills like making and managing personal budgets, tracking expenses, and understanding our spending habits, using credit responsibly, saving money, and planning for the future. These lessons are helping us feel ready for life after high school. We also learned what it takes to run a business. The Inferno, our student-run school store, gave us a real experience in budgeting, marketing, and customer service. In BizWork Studio, we visited Joey's Diner, interviewed the owner, toured the restaurant, and learned the ins and outs of running a business. Another focus this semester, Waukesha East focused on building a stronger school community. We celebrated through East Extra extravaganzas, where we celebrated monthly student achievements, played games, and snacked on tasty treats. Our first annual Thanksgiving feast, where students and staff came together to connect over food and gratitude. We also explored life after high school through field trips and visits, including Waukesha County Technical College, Generac, Specker's Brewery Root Beer Division. We also welcomed Army recruiters, and 4 students completed the ASVABs and now are considering military service after graduation. These experiences helped us see that there are many paths to success and that school can help prepare us for all of them. Over the first ever student showcase highlighted students' learning and creativity across all studios. Students presented projects, performances, and other work to families and community members. This showcase was a proud moment for all of us. It let us show our talents, celebrate our accomplishments, and practice communicating our ideas confidently. This semester at Waukesha East has been amazing. We've learned real-world skills, gained confidence, and worked together to make a difference in our community. Most importantly, we learned that when students are trusted, supported, and challenged, we can rise to the occasion. Thank you for supporting Waukesha East and letting us share our story tonight.
Thank you, Marcella. I believe Mrs. Koenig has the first question for you.
Maricela, you did not tell me you were going to do this yesterday. I'm lucky enough to know your plans after graduation. I was wondering if you'd like to tell everybody what's on the horizon. What are you going to do?
February 2nd, I'm going to be enrolling in WCTC CNA course that will be following in the summer.
And what's the ultimate goal?
To become a registered nurse.
Awesome. I'm super proud of you.
That's wonderful. Anybody else? Mr. Brooks.
You kind of touched on a couple of the things that I wanted to ask, but what is the biggest piece of advice that you would give to a new student coming to East?
Just focus on your work. All the staff are willing to help you as long as you're willing to put in the work.
One of the things that I'm always just amazed at and continue to be impressed by the more I learn about East is just how strong the community is there, both in terms of what the staff are doing, but also how students support each other. So I'm glad that you brought that up because I think it's something that's really special, and I'm very happy to have you here tonight, but also very proud of what you're going to accomplish in your future.
Thank you.
Anyone else? You did an excellent job. Thank you very much for being here tonight. All right, next we'll have our e-achieve. Yeah, so I was looking at you because they're virtual. Who's got it? Okay. We have Pauline Robertson and Ellie Cunningham from eAchieve, along with their peer tutoring advisor, Mrs. Nancy Ronke, who's a familiar face to us. Welcome. Oh, we do have one in person. Wonderful. We also have, okay, Pauline and Ellie are here in person, and we have Greta and Jacob who are going to be virtual.
And I'd like to say real quick that Greta and Jacob can't hear the call at the moment.
Okay.
I believe one of them told me that you were muted, so they can't hear the meeting at the moment. Oh, the WebEx.
Yep, we're gonna, who's fixing that? Steve's back there. Yeah, okay. Just give us 1 sec so we can confirm that they can hear.
Say hi to them.
Hello, Greta and Jacob, can you hear us?
Hello.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, welcome. I'll turn it over to you all.
So I am Paulina Robertson. I am in 11th grade, and I live here in Waukesha. So I went to eAchieve during the pandemic, and I really stuck around because it worked well for me, and it found to be a more positive school experience, considering the fact that I got kind of unfocused in school and I was just very easily distractible. So having my own schedule to manage and my own days planned around how I work worked really well for me. So I was able to stick with eAchieve since 6th grade, and I am now in high school. A teacher I'd love to shout out that's helped me throughout almost my entire eAchieve journey is my wonderful art teacher, Miss Satari. She's made it really easy to talk to, and I already love art, but being in her classes has made it way more fun for me. And she's been a great teacher with me all the way. And then, as I mentioned, I love art, so my plans for after high school is definitely trying to go to art college. And she's helped me with that journey too. She's recommended me some art colleges, and she set up meetings with art colleges for the school, so I can broaden my horizons. So in eAchieve, we have plenty of clubs, and my personal favorite that I was the editor-in-chief for last year is our Phoenix Review, which is our publication club. It is our school newspaper, and it's a student-led creative project that includes sections created by students for students, but staff can turn in submissions too, and we love to leave it open for creativity and just promote this positive creative environment for everyone. I did include my editor-in-chief statement for this one. So overall, great experience. I love Publication Club because it promotes creativity and community within our school. And people may think having that social aspect is difficult in an online presence, but being in clubs like the Publication Club has definitely allowed me to talk to new students and just had me make more friends in general. And I work on this with my friends as well, so it is very positive. And I'm glad that this exists because it promotes creativity within our school.
Next is Greta.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, my name is Greta Gunsch. I am in 11th grade and I live in Shorewood, Wisconsin, which is about 10 minutes away from Milwaukee. I chose to join eAchieve because during the pandemic, the face-to-face school options were very limited for me, and it works well for me because I get to wake up whenever I want and I get to complete assignments when I would like. The workflow is very flexible depending on how I learn best, and I think that it works very well for eAchieve. And my teacher shout out is Mr. Burden. I've had many of his business classes from eAchieve for several years now, and in every single live class and every single assignment, I've learned just so much, and he truly seems to care for his students and for teaching, and I've just learned so much from him over the years. And I've taken a lot of business classes, so some of my post-graduation plans are to attend a college and get a business degree. I haven't decided what major yet, though. And the one thing I absolutely love about eAchieve is the live class. You get one live class for each class, and it's 1 hour long, about, depending on the class. And there's where you have a just 1 hour long period where the teacher teaches you and your peers, and you get to interact with your peers and your teacher in an academic setting. And you're able to ask any questions, any confusions you have over your assignments in an instant, and you get a direct feedback.
Thanks, Greta. And next is Jacob.
Hi, I am Jacob Gemmel, and I am also in 11th grade. I live in a small town about an hour away from Waukesha called Mayville. I chose eAchieve because during the pandemic, if I went back to in-person school, I would have been held back. By switching to eAchieve, I have been able to work at a higher level in terms of math, and also I've had a larger amount of electives to be able to choose from. It works for me because of my flexibility. I can wake up when I want, fall asleep when I want, and just do assignments when I want, and then have fun hobbies. My teacher shout out is Miss Feisner, who taught me in 9th and 10th grade for human geography and AP World History. She made live classes so enjoyable, and even when last year I was trying incredibly hard to stay on pace because of the sheer amount of homework, she was always incredibly supportive and helpful. For my post-graduation plans, I plan on going to college. I am still deciding on my major, but I am leaning towards either computer science or something with pre-med, though I am still exploring my options. One thing I love about eAchieve, though, is the peer tutoring center. It fosters community, the ability to make connections. I love being able to help other students out with a variety of topics. That leads us into the rest of our slideshow. Now we will show you 2 videos from real tutoring sessions. These are 2 videos taken during our tutoring sessions to showcase what a normal tutoring session is like. While watching, notice our tutors and tutorees' body language, and empowerment for all.
Snow. Like the blanket it is,
We could.
or how do we want to word that?
What do you guys think?
We could take out the word like. We could put a blanket, and then we could just describe, like, you know, how, like.
Maybe we could put it back into this one. Oops.
Yeah.
Keep right in chapter 2, or are you going to switch it to a chapter 3 and make it longer?
Yeah, I want to make this. I want to finish my chapter 2. I mean, like, get to a really edge of your seat moment.
Yeah.
Chapter 2, then go to chapter 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think, like, after the bus actually starts fighting them, that can be your chapter 3. I don't really know. I mean, it's completely up to you, but I don't know if you need much more than chapter 3. But, I mean, I'm really enjoying reading it, so I think it's going really well.
Greta, go ahead. You can talk about the testimonials.
Okay, so these are testimonials that we've received from both the parent and student side over our years when we've been running the Peer Tutoring Center. It really helps to show a little bit more about not only the impact we have on our own lives as tutors, but also the impact we have on the students and the students' parents.
And the 3 students you heard from tonight, they were part of the forming group of this. They are the student leadership team, and they look at our feedback form, and then they keep making changes. And then the last thing we wanted to share with is
Mrs.
our next
Ronke,
steps.
can you step up to
Yep.
the microphone? Thank you.
We just wanted to share some of the next steps to think about. They want to do some more public service announcements. They would love to maybe do something whole district-wide with the Peer Tutoring Center. We definitely want to connect students, not just at eAchieve, but maybe across districts and across different areas of the country and world. So thank you so much for letting us present today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do we still have our students online as well? Okay. What questions does the board have? Mrs. Voigt?
I have a question for Greta. I was pleased to hear that you are enjoying your business classes. I'm just wondering which ones you are taking, since I used to be a teacher of business classes at eAchieve.
The business classes I've already taken in middle school, I've taken business exploration and career exploration. Last year, I took an eAchieve class that partners with the WCTC that gives me a college credit, a full year college credit, and it was for accounting. And this year, I'm currently actually still taking an entrepreneur class, which still allows me to get college credit as well at the WCTC.
Very good. I set up all those courses. That's great to hear.
I had a question. I don't know if anybody else is wondering, but just the art experience that you described, and I have a lot of curiosity about what art is like for you on eAchieve.
So we work with digital art and painting, but we also have courses like photography and AP Art History. AP Art History I'm taking this year. I'm going to be honest, I was nervous at first for AP Art History, but working with Miss Ataria has been really well, and she's been making the course very digestible. For drawing, we work on different programs such as Photoshop and various Adobe products. And we use Adobe Express to create our end of year portfolio for each of our art classes. It's a very fun experience to go through like different types of work and line work and brush work, even within a digital setting. And it's definitely gotten me more comfortable with digital art because before online school, I was a traditional artist only, and now I love making digital artwork.
Are you using any specific tools or digital tools that are specific to the technique or the genre that you're working in?
Well, digital art is very broad, so you can really do whatever with the products. I personally use a different drawing app on my phone because it's easier for me to maneuver than my keyboard. And Miss Atari allows us to use those options to make the art more accessible for everybody, especially with the difficulties of Photoshop. She allows us to use simpler art programs, and it helps fuel creativity when the area you're working with is less difficult. And there's plenty of options for whatever style you enjoy, and it really makes art a really freeing experience when doing it online because you don't have to worry too much about the mistakes because they're so easy to go back on, and nothing is permanent.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Mrs. Koenig?
Yeah, I have a kind of a fun question. First of all, three of you are eloquent speakers. I'm so excited to listen each time you present with eAchieve. You all spoke about the different flexibility that you enjoy with eAchieve, and being able to wake up when you want, kind of work when you want. For each one of you, when is your magic time that you feel that is your power hour, that you feel like you do the best work? I'm sure it's different for each one of you.
So in the morning, I'm a little bit more groggy, and I think because I wake up kind of early. Well, I guess early for me. So I think around noon is the best time for my schoolwork. So in the morning, I can just like kind of look over my assignments and just kind of get a grasp of them. But during like the afternoon, I'm able to like fully like write everything and be really productive.
Awesome.
For my day-to-day experience, it's a little bit different during the week. On Monday and Tuesdays when I have most of my live classes, so during those days, I'll usually be in classes most of the morning and some of the afternoon, and then maybe look over some assignments, create my schedule, see what I have to do for the week. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is usually when I start my assignments and finish them. And usually I get productive around 10 to 12, and then like 1 to 4 is usually when I'm the most productive.
So it's actually fairly funny for me. Anytime I get productive at night. Usually around 8 to 9 p.m. is usually when I'm working the most.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you all very much for being here and being online and sharing your experience with us, and to your teachers as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now at the section of our meeting where there's an opportunity for citizens to speak. We have 7 speakers tonight, which means that each individual will be limited to 3 minutes. We will signal the speaker at 2.5 minutes to begin to wrap up their comments. We expect all speakers to honor our time limit, refrain from using any inappropriate language, and to be respectful in their comments. Speakers who do not meet these expectations may be prohibited from speaking at future board or committee meetings. Speakers are here to address the board, not the audience. The school board does not endorse any comments made by members of the community here tonight. We would like to remind our community members of the impact of their words on others and that our children are watching. We commit to communicating with you in respectful and productive ways and ask that you do the same. We also expect that the audience will be respectful of the speaker and of the board and refrain from responding with verbal comments, cheering, applause, or behavior that will detract from the meeting. Please note that no obstructions can be created between the board and the audience. Visual aids cannot be used in the area behind the speaker, and the podium should be clear during public comment. Also, in order to respect our speakers and meeting participants, please silence your cell phones. Our first speaker tonight will be Paul Reese, followed by Tom Arato.
Good evening. You've probably heard by now that we don't need to implement this optimizing our future plan because we're not in crisis yet, which is the argument for waiting till we're in crisis to operate. Well, this district has operated from that standpoint before, and it happened overnight. In about 2007, this district made a decision, the wise decision, to invest heavily in subprime mortgage loans. And those subprime mortgage loans went bye-bye. And overnight, we were in trouble. And our it was a big thing that happened, a cascade of problems. Our bond rating fell, and so it cost us more money than what we had just lost. And we started cutting things. We cut programs, we cut music, we cut art, we cut, I believe this is when, maybe Darren can talk about this in F&F next month, I believe this is when we cut our AIDS healthcare. This was a bad time in this district, and it happened overnight. We all of a sudden were in crisis. And that's not a point that you want to operate from. When we had to borrow money at an increased interest rate in order just to operate. We don't need to go to that place. That is not a good place. We need to be proactive like we have been and continue on that way. So another thing is Patrick Moynihan once coined a phrase, the soft bigotry of low expectations. We've been told that brown and black people and minorities will not be able to handle moving schools, that this is going to trouble them and set them back if they have to go a mile down the road. Of all the things that will trouble them, I doubt that's it. The fact that they think that they can cope less than anyone else is amazing to me. But what does hurt our kids who are in trouble? What are the problems that some of these kids face? Single parenthood, broken homes, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, sexual abuse, physical abuse. These are the things that affects them. And these are the things that they live with. I've sat here and listened to kids come up here and talk about themselves being sexually assaulted. These are the things that set them back. These are the troubles, not moving a mile down the road. When I was a kid, I don't have time to get into that, but it wasn't easy, and the least of my problems was moving schools. And to insinuate that these kids cannot handle moving a block away, or a mile away, it's ludicrous. I find it insulting that someone can say that someone can't handle that and ignore these problems and hand them a ham sandwich and tell them it's going to be okay. Thanks.
Thank you. The next speaker is Tom Arato, followed by Joe Burke.
I don't have any illusions that what I'm saying here will have any impact on anything based on the makeup of this board. There was a long time to prepare for this decision. You guys said you wanted public input. Night of the vote, you bring out an option that nobody had seen and voted in. Didn't care what the public said, didn't want to hear it. You knew this was going to cause overcrowding in the remaining schools. Schools, at least 2 of them, are going to be operating at over 100%. You knew this. You didn't care. You also knew it's going to affect all the the dual language programs and some of the other programs, it's going to affect special ed. You knew that. You didn't care. And when you have an opportunity to show the public that you actually thought you had a plan and some organization to this, right out the gate, you start dropping emails with bad links and bad information and completely unprepared. So you're already getting parents that are already worked up about this, even more worked up. Again, I have no illusions about what you're going to do. And most of you aren't even up for election for a while. But if you actually care about the things that you say you care about, and I continue to be amazed by people that don't like public education, are so desperate to lead it, you have an opportunity to correct course and implement this properly over a longer period of time. If you're going to force a change through, do it well, not this.
The next speaker is Joe Burke, followed by Maria Hawkins.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sure a few of you have heard my name before. We've exchanged a few emails. Most of them have gone unresponded, but credit to Dr. Siebert and Mr. Clark for spending time and talking through a few things with me. But I'm here to share data tonight. I don't want to get into the anecdotal and subjective stuff. Right now, it's pretty toxic online, and I know with the upcoming election, it's only going to get worse. But clearly, at the moment, there's a focus on discrediting the opposition and labeling them versus truly understanding their point of view. Obviously, there is a lot of emotion, and if we want to label everyone as emotional, so be it. But there's a lot of data that's driving that emotion too, right? So I'm just going to talk about that. I'll decline from going into the subjective stuff, but just some of the common topics we've talked about. Declining enrollment, we've heard 2% a year. For the last 6 months, we've heard declining birth rates. Nothing else. A third of that decline in enrollment has been lost to students to charter and voucher schools. Roughly 800 of the 2,200 drop in student enrollment over the last 10 years. It's over a third. Not a surprise, I'm sure. But those 800 students equate to about a $10 million reduction in state general aid. This year or next year, obviously there's a lag. Over the last 3 years, that number has increased by an average $1.5 million per year. We just haven't had it discussed publicly. What are the strategies to address that? It's not just babies. The school portion of the tax levy is going up 2.2% to address some of that. I'm an advocate for the choice program, but I'm not an advocate for the policies and practices that are essentially pushing families out of the district or giving them reason to leave. Moving dual language. You know, the focus should be student outcomes, and really the only data we had to support that was they'll be fine. We've displaced, or we will displace, 40% of the dual language students, 25% of students with disabilities. The Hispanic birth rate is actually up 10% over the last decade. In the state, it's up 24%, not part of the discussion. I want to talk a little bit about deferred maintenance because I haven't managed my time well, so I'm going to go straight to that. Deferred maintenance, the single biggest driver in this decision. Here's some facts. 9 elementary schools were identified as needing new kitchen hoods because they did not comply with code.
30 seconds.
The district's food service is handled by a third party. I spoke with the fire marshal. He said this is inaccurate based on current use. There's no building code or other requirement that requires the district to replace, update, or modify their current kitchen hoods. That's $3 million in the report. Every single school in the district needs a new emergency generator that is 50% larger than the current. What's the justification? To support the incremental power load, which is cooler and freezer outlets in the kitchen. Every single school, including this building. It's copy and paste.
Your time is up.
Encourage all of you to look through that report. There's over $10 million.
Thank you, Joe.
That's very subjective.
Thank you. Next up is Maria Hawkins, followed by Zoila Martinez.
All right, Dr. Hawkins here. I'm going to read my notes off my phone. All right, so we've had a lot of emails and a lot of chaos. So January 5th was when an email supposedly went out at 7:32 a.m. Not a single Hawthorne family I spoke to received that email. I didn't receive an email. All of my information is up to date in the system, along with every single person I spoke to, because we've received other emails, and we checked. So I was posting the only information I had, which was from December 19th, in the group chats I had with everyone. There are 47 different caregivers on the group chat for my son's class in Hawthorne. No one got the email. So I posted the information. And then when those families went to call enrollment, they found out that Leticia Campos is on vacation, which good for her. She's on vacation. Everyone needs a vacation. But she is the only bilingual person in enrollment. So these families who were left out of this email then called and were told, call back at a different time. A lot of these families are just giving up on the district altogether. The Spanish-only families that I've been speaking to, they're just done. They're choicing out. Because this is just one more thing in a river of chaos. And let's talk more about the emails. In December, I got an email saying my son was going to be at a specific school. Then I got an email saying that might be wrong. Then on January 5th, I went into the school choice link, which by the way, it's the same link with two different descriptions, which is very confusing. And there was a different school in there. So then I called. The enrollment person said what's in the portal from the link is also wrong. So who knows? I'm not expecting to find out until August where my child is going, which of course doesn't help his stress or any of his friends, because every single student is in the same boat at Hawthorne. We do not know where anyone is going, and there's contradictory information at every step of this. I told another mom this week, I can't imagine another 3.5 years of this level of misinformation, confusion, and chaos. So I get why families are leaving the district, and this goes to what the gentleman just was saying before this too. It's okay to say, I don't know, I'll get back to you, when the email discussion happened earlier. If you don't know, don't say everyone got an email when Hawthorne families, who are some of the most affected, didn't. We were completely left out of that. And the districting is insane too. So my son's classmate
30
lives across
seconds.
the street from Lowell, across the street. They were districted to Bonting. Like, that doesn't make any sense. They're having to drive over 3 miles across town rather than walk across the street, even though the new district lines show that's where they should be. So we shouldn't have to advocate to get emails with information that directly applies to us. We should just get the emails. This shouldn't have to be hours on the phone getting this information. We can do better. Thank you.
Next speaker is Zoila Martinez, followed by Helen Bishara.
Thank you for holding this meeting and allowing us to speak. I want to be clear once again, for me, this is not simply about the consolidation of buildings. I understand that enrollment and family sizes are not what they once were, although I think many of us know that's not the full story. What concerns me most is how this entire process has been handled, and specifically the repeated failure to provide clear, accurate, and accessible information to the Hispanic families. Pretty much I'm going to say what she just said, what Maria just said, particularly those from the schools that many of you have already voted to close. School choice. On Monday, January 5th, most families received a reminder, unlike Hawthorne and some Bethesda parents who received it 3 days later. Wednesday, 7th. Great, but it was still conflicted information. And to keep it even more interesting, Spanish speakers called the administrator just to find out that the lady was out on vacation, Thursday and Friday. One mother shared this experience, and I want to say it here clearly, quote, "We first received a message saying we were assigned to Banting. Then we were told that communication was wrong and to wait for a new one. After that, we received the district map. And when we entered our address, it showed Lowell. We thought everything was resolved. But when I went to confirm enrollment, my child was assigned back to Banting, and we were asked to submit an inter-district transfer request. Concerned and no longer trusting the communication, this parent called the district again. She was told she needed to speak to Ryan Pat. Mr. Pat later returned her call and explained that most of the students in the dual language program were being assigned to Banting in an effort to keep classes together. Thank you. With the exception of students zoned to Lowell. When she asked why her child, who's zoned to Lowell, was not initially assigned there, Mr. Pat stated that he must have missed reassigning her correctly. and I assured her that it would be fixed. He also stated that the district values dual language families. Thank you again. This is not just confusing, this is unacceptable. Now imagine being a parent who does not speak English fluently or who is not comfortable using technology trying to navigate the systems and messages, only to receive contradictory information at every single step. You might
30
say some of
seconds.
this is not your fault, but when you choose to serve this board, you choose to represent all students and all families, those who look like you, those who speak like you, and those who do not. I'm not the college-educated one here, and you guys know that, and I've said that here. So please act like it. The district and our families deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Helen Bishara, followed by Erica Kochansky.
Hi there. So I want to also speak about the emails that we received. I went to the Tuesday committee meeting, and there I spoke about the lived experiences you guys just heard from my colleagues of Hawthorne parents that happened on Monday the 5th. During the meeting, an administrator stated on the record that an email with all necessary information was sent district-wide. In response to my public comment, a board member asked for clarification and reassurance that everyone had received that email. The answer given on record was yes. All 4K through 7th grade families received that communication, and this is not accurate. So when I asked the superintendent whether the statement made during the public meeting remains accurate and whether public record would be clarified, my question was not answered. Instead, responsibility was shifted to technical issues and to the families themselves. His written response to me stated, quote, "Sometimes it is that families are not signed up or with the appropriate language." That explanation is deeply concerning. When communication failures are attributed to families rather than addressed as system failures, responsibility is shifted away from the district and onto parents who are already navigating this confusing stuff thrown upon them. It undermines trust and accountability. Some may say this was a minor issue or that was resolved once another email was sent out on the 7th. Others may argue that the information existed elsewhere or that families were not disadvantaged because choice is not first come, first served this year. But that misses the point. Families should not have to attend meetings, advocate repeatedly, or sit through weeks of conflicting and sometimes inaccurate emails to access basic and time-sensitive information. Clear, timely, and accurate communication is the bare minimum expectation. When basic communication fails at this level, it raises serious questions about the district's ability to implement any large-scale plan on an accelerated timeline without hurting students. At the committee meeting, it was also stated that roughly 1/3 of families were still waiting on transportation information at that time. While I'm not addressing transportation tonight, I do want to address that 1/3. If only 2/3 of families received the bare minimum of clear and timely communication,
30 seconds.
that is a 66%. On a traditional grading scale, that is a D. A D is not passing. I know this board is not the one sending these communications, but you guys did vote to implement Plan 1E, and it is the administration's responsibility to carry it out competently. I'm asking for your help to hold the administration accountable to doing that. This is not about opposing your decisions. It's about ensuring accurate information and ensuring there is a system families can rely on
Your
when
time is
making
up.
time-sensitive decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Erica Kochansky.
Hi. Can you hear me okay? So on Friday, some community members put out a petition to stop unnecessary 2026 Waukesha public school closures. As of right now, 606 people have signed this petition. I'd like to read the petition for you.
Over the past 15 years, the school district of Waukesha has steadily reduced its footprint to address declining enrollment. 3 schools, Pleasant Hill, White Rock, and Saratoga, are up for sale in 2026 as part of this long-range plan. Pleasant Hill Elementary closed in 2010, leased to Richardson School, sale planned in 2026. White Rock closed and repurposed for the Transition Academy and East High School, sale planned for 2026. Saratoga closed and repurposed as STEM grades 6 to 8, sale planned for 2026. Blair Elementary closed and repurposed as the admin building 2023. Whittier Elementary closed and reopened as STEM Elementary 2023. Randall STEM Elementary sold to Carroll University 2023. Lindholm Administration Building sold to Carroll University 2023. On November 12th, 2025, with little community support, this WISRED-dominated Waukesha School Board voted 8-1 to drastically alter the long-range plan and approve Optimizing Our Future, option E1, to close, repurpose, or sell 6 of Waukesha's public schools, disrupting the education of more than 2,000 students and displacing approximately 200 staff members next school year. Implementation of option E1 for the start of the 2026-27 school year includes closing, repurposing, or selling Bethesda, Hawthorne, Whittier, and Saratoga, repurposing Lowell into a dual-language elementary school, relocating the K-8 STEM school to Horning, operating 2 traditional middle schools at Butler, and Les Paul at 101% capacity. Despite a community petition with 713 signatures calling for a pause and an impact study, and the filing of a formal equity complaint citing disparate impact on protected communities, district administration has deemed it necessary to implement these sprawling changes by the start of the 2026-27 school year. There is no financial emergency that justifies this rush. SDW is not in crisis mode.
30 seconds.
As acknowledged by district admin. In fact, the 2018 referendum debt will be paid in full in April, leaving SDW debt-free. The consequences of such an aggressive push for implementation are already being realized. The fumbled release of redistricting maps, transportation eligibility, and school assignments has created widespread confusion, anxiety, and instability for families and staff. The call to action is, please sign this petition to demand district administration stop the implementation of OOF option
time is
E1
up.
and meaningfully collaborate with the community before making such far-reaching decisions.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. I do want to move next to minute approval. We have 2 sets of minutes for the board's consideration tonight, the December 10th regular board meeting and the December 10th executive session. Mrs. Voigt?
I move for the approval of the December 10th meetings at the regular and executive session.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Brooks. Any discussion or corrections? Okay, Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Betty Koenig?
Aye.
Natalie Gren?
Aye.
Eric Brooks?
Aye.
David Wad?
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia?
Aye.
Thomas Harlan?
Aye.
Carrie Kozlowski?
Aye.
Diane Voigt?
Aye.
Kelly Piasek?
Aye, passes 9-0. We will move next to Mrs. Koenig and the WEF report.
Thank you, Madam President. The Waukesha Education Foundation Board of Directors met last on January 8th, 2026, and here are some updates for you all. As a reminder, the Evening for Education theme for 2026 is Sail into Success. We're excited to welcome you aboard on Wednesday, March 25th at the Marriott in Waukesha. Visit wefefe26.givesmart.com for more information, or you can text WEFEFE26 to 76278. Please buy your tickets now if you are planning to attend. We have over 200 tickets already sold, and we have a capacity for about 260 seats, so it's starting to get slim pickings, so make sure that you sign up. We have a handful of sponsorships still available. We are still collecting raffle and auction items until mid-February. Our 2025 WEF Awards were recently announced. Congratulations to the following winners and special thanks to them for all that they do for our schools. Our Corporate Partner Award was Eaton Corporation. Our Community Partner Award is the Waukesha Police Department School Resource Officer Program. And our Sally Jo Michalko Lifetime Excellence in Education Award was given to James Bowling. Sponsorship window. The WEF scholarship window will open on 1/27/2026 and close on 3/22/2026 at 11:59 p.m. Students and families can visit our website at www.waukeshaeducationfoundation.org and click on the scholarships page to learn more. They can also go see their school student services representative as well. Lynette is going to meet with seniors at all 3 high schools the next 3 Tuesdays during homeroom. Emily Solwinski, a teacher at Prairie Elementary, has joined our board as our teacher liaison. Emily has won many of the grants through our organization and is a perfect fit. She attended her first board meeting in January, and we welcomed her there. Our WEF board meeting is on Saturday, 1/31/2026, to work on our strategic plan. Thank you to Generac for hosting our group at their beautiful facility. Any questions, reach out to Lynette at extension 1143, or you can email her as well. Madam President, this concludes my WEF report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Koenig. Any questions for Mrs. Koenig? All right, thank you. Okay, we will move on to our next item of business, which is the Optimizing Our Future Long-Range Planning Implementation Update. What I would like to do, is it's pertinent to the implementation update, is before I turn it over to Dr. Siebert, I want to address a persistent narrative that would suggest that the board's November decision was invalid. The suggestion that detail was lacking in the cited motion, to be clear, does not nullify the understanding or intent of the assembly at the time of the vote, nor does it nullify a duly adopted motion. So I think it's appropriate to just clarify here, under Robert's Rules of Order, the meaning and effect of a motion is governed by the intent of the assembly at the time that the motion was adopted. And that would be reflected by the members who voted in favor of it, so those voting in the affirmative. And while I did refer to this in December and we talked a bit about this, unfortunately this inconsistent message has persisted. So therefore, just as a point of clarification, I do want to verify, and this is directed to the members who voted in the affirmative of the motion taken on November 12th, is there any board member who voted in the affirmative who understood the implementation date to occur on any date other than 2026-27? Okay. Seeing none, seeing none. From this point forward, the record will reflect then that the adopting majority shared a common understanding that the implementation would begin in the 26-27 school year. This is not a matter of reconsideration, discussion, or action. This is a clarification of the record. So with this confirmation, we'll move into the implementation discussion under the understanding that the motion passed in November reflects the will of the body, and that the board remains in the implementation phase as we were after the vote was taken in November. For further clarification, however, I do want to reiterate, and I want to encourage all board members to review pertinent policies. The decisions that are made by this board become the decisions of the body corporate, which means members have a right to disagree with decisions, but the disagreement does not change the meaning or the effect of an adopted motion. So, having said that, there are board bylaws that pertain to how information regarding board decisions is to be communicated. And I would encourage everyone to review, in particular, Board Bylaw 122, which indicates the board is a body corporate and acts only through official action taken by the majority vote at a duly noticed meeting. And bylaws 143, 143.1, and 144.5, which refers to individual board members not being authorized to represent or contradict the board's adopted position absent explicit authorization, and therefore that the board president has the responsibility and the authorization to correct false or misleading statements regarding the board action. From this point forward, it would be out of order for us to be considering, or to discussing reconsideration of that action or any alternative interpretation of that action unless a member who voted in the affirmative asks to reconsider. Is that clear? Thank you. Okay, with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Siebert.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Piasek. What we'll do this evening, it's our pleasure to share our progress on option E1 implementation as we continue to march forward toward 26-27. And so, as you know, this has been, since its outset in April of 2025, K-8 district footprint process. We weren't looking at the high schools at all. So everything we're talking about tonight is focused on our K-8 footprint, and that means we're communicating with current families that are in grades 4K through 7th grade, as they will be the people then and the families that will be affected going into 26-27. So on this slide, this tells you the information that our current 4K through 7th grade families have received to date. So via the school search website tool that we have, families know their assigned boundary area school. They also know their assigned regional service area school for dual language, and they know their transportation eligibility. So with that being said, they know that those pieces now. That certainly does not excuse our December 18th email communication attempt that definitely fell short. And it's certainly, we needed to be better than that, and we weren't. And so I do want to publicly apologize for the challenges that we caused for our families prior to the holidays. That was not okay, and we are committed to being better than that. We do have Mr. Schloman here tonight, who will be able to help answer any questions you may have on that particular topic after we walk through the slides that we have for you. We're committed to sending weekly communication, trying to remind people of what we're asking them to do during the intra-district school choice and school acknowledgement window. We continue to refine those pieces to make it more clear and transparent for our parents. And ultimately, parents have until 4:30 p.m. on Friday, January 30th to do A, B, or C that's on this particular slide. So we wanted to thank people that have done that already. So far, we have 529 families, our student families that have completed at the middle, and 1,381 at the elementary. We are asking them to acknowledge their boundary school assignment by using a tab so that we can use that in our planning and know that they accept their new boundary school if they have a new boundary school, which is approximately 1/3 of our students. Or B, they can apply for intra-district transfer within the school district of Waukesha. Normally, we do that in December. We push that back to January because of this process. And they can apply to transfer to up to 3 different schools, again, by Friday, January 2026 at 4:30. Or they can use our alternate process for applying for our K-8 STEM program by clicking on the STEM application. They then fill that out. They take a tour at the current elementary or Saratoga STEM site and get familiar with the program by working with the principals. So those are the options that we're asking parents to do. If parents don't fill out that form prior to January 30th, then it will default, the system will default to the boundary school that they are placed at. We've created a couple of additional pieces that we are hoping provide, again, some clarity and uniformity within our district language usage. So you heard me use the term intra-district. That's what we're calling our intra-district or school choice process that we are engaged in right now through the end of the month. And that is for parents that want to apply to attend some other school, up to 3, other than their current boundary school. We're also clarifying what open enrollment is in this document. Open enrollment is enrollment from one public school district to another public school district. That is a different window. That's February 2nd through April 30th, and that's a statewide process that's run by the Department of Public Instruction. We're explaining why we want parents to acknowledge their boundary school assignment. As we have some shifting within the district, it's important for us, for staffing purposes that we'll talk about here in just a little bit, to have the clearest picture possible of where students are going to be, and then also allow us to know how much room we have for school choice once people accept their boundary assignment. And then on this document as well, we're also showing those three options, again, that I just described, that families have in terms of what we're looking for them to do prior to Friday, January 30th at 4:30. We've also created a flow chart. We need to thank Mrs. Kozlowski for that suggestion. That's available, the sheet that I just showed you, as well as the flow chart, is available on our website. Mr. Pat put this sheet together. We did hear that there is some confusion, and that's why we've been trying to continually clarify language as well as create new graphics and new options for people to understand what we're asking of them here in the month of January. It is different than things we've asked in the past, so it's fair that there are some questions. So that is another way that we're trying to show what we're asking people to do, what the priorities for school choice are, what are the different levels of priority, and then how we will make those final determinations ultimately. In this slide, we're showing just an overview of the month of January, in which January 5th is when we opened those options for people to take a look at. January 6th through January 15th, we've been hosting our middle school, high school. eAchieve had their open house, actually their first in-person open house this afternoon here. And we have our K-8 STEM open house event tomorrow night at Horning. That'll be our last one. We put specific emphasis on placing those all on different nights for the first time. And so we really wanted parents to have the opportunity to experience all of the vast offerings that we have here in the school district of Waukesha. At those open houses, for example, we had over 800 people at Les Paul. So we are getting great attendance at these events, and we're getting a lot of interest, and they've been very positive and well received. Throughout January, below here in the middle, we're bringing back our See It Live events. We have those on January 28th at both elementary and middle school for parents to be able to see dual language in action. With 4K, we have a parent information night coming up on, I believe it's January 20th. We'll see that on the next slide for people to learn more about the 4K program. And as we've discussed, the window for choices, school choice, inter-district choice, and boundary area acceptance, as well as K-8 STEM charter school applications, is January 30th at 4:30. This is the graphic that you've seen that's on our website. Ms. Gunnerman has updated our main district website carousel. This is on the planning for next school year page, which is our one-stop shop as we implement now working towards September of 2026 for option E1. The Optimizing Our Future website still exists, still houses the pieces that we worked on dating back to April of 2025. But this shows you that all of those open houses were on different evenings, as well as the 4K dual language information, and then additional information on open enrollment that exists at the state level at those dates from February 22nd to April 30th. In terms of next steps that we're working on, in addition to what we've already discussed, we have high school course selection and middle school course selection beginning this month. And so those have also been backed up. But that information from middle school and high school course selection combined with the information from school acknowledgement and school choice, those two pieces come together then ultimately to provide Mrs. Thiede and the Human Resources Department what they need to begin the staffing process for all employee groups. So those are critically important pieces, and while we backed up this intra-district choice window a month, Mrs. Thiede is trying to push up her traditional staffing window to make sure that we are taking the uncertainty out of the minds of our staff as well as our families. We'll then continue to do a number of things. Like I said earlier, we're doing weekly reminders to our families that are in 4K through 7th grade in January in regards to completing one of those three options that we've discussed. We use our weekly newsletter called The Explorer to update our staff on things that relate to the implementation phase. We continue to inform and collaborate with our principals to make sure that they have the information they need to be able to answer questions. We've also worked with the principals specifically of the schools that are closing. The district took the lead in the communication out of the gate when those schools were closing, but now they are able to as well communicate with their families to make sure that sometimes they use things like Class Dojo or other types of apps that are more impactful than maybe the emails that we're sending. So we're working with them to be able to do that now too. We use the news section on the revised district homepage of the website, and that's the new planning for next year page that is continuing to be built. We've just begun discussing planning for the building moves that'll take place over the summer, including the boxing up of materials and all those things. Mr. Clark and the maintenance team at the service building will coordinate that process. And then Ms. Gennerman and her staff have done a great job working with the principals already on managing complex change, and will continue to do some of that work as well to make sure that people have the tools that they need as we move into a new-looking school district of Waukesha in September. And while we're doing all of those pieces, we're also then building out our summer school course catalog. That we learned about that at Teaching and Learning with Mrs. Garcia-Velez and Ms. Gennerman. It's actually on our agenda tonight, the summer school program. But what we'll do with summer schools, that'll also provide an opportunity to support students who, some may be transitioning schools, some may not be, but provide some enrichment activities and some summer learning opportunities in buildings that they may be going to. Finalizing our professional development catalog for staff. That's under the direction, again, of Deputy Superintendent Gennerman, creating opportunities to support staff members in transitioning into new buildings, to new grade levels, to new content areas. That'll all be part of that professional development series. And then also, she's already been planning way ahead with her principal group and leadership team what our professional time in August will look like. So we will have some additional building time for the staff in the buildings because with the transition to new buildings, the moving, the unboxing, the unpacking, all of those kinds of things in particular schools, and what teacher doesn't like additional classroom time, right? That's always valuable. So we'll adjust that for the 26-27 school year as well. So those are the slides that we have for you. I just would, as I wrap up here, say we're very grateful for your support. We are in month 10 of what we always talked about being an 18-month process, so dating back to April 2025 to September of 2026. That gives us ample time to continue to plan and be able to execute successful implementation of option E1 in September of 26. And ultimately, we'd open it up now for questions, comments, any discussion that you'd like to have. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
So Eric, and then Mr. Brooks, and then Mrs. Voigt and Mrs. Kozlowski.
Thank you. Dr. Sieber, you kind of already touched on this a little bit, and maybe this is more of a question for Mrs. Gennerman. When we talk about the professional development piece for teachers who are, especially teachers who are, maybe finding themselves in a new building, they're going through a building change. I guess, can you provide more insight into what that looks like or what we've done in the past that we found to be successful that we could apply here?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit more to it. So in our professional development catalog that we put together every year, we offer classes that could be 2-hour classes to something that meets on a monthly basis. But what we're focusing on right now is using the idea that just giving the teachers a little bit more time, and with the coordinators who know the content or subject level that they be moving to. For some of our new professional educators, they are looking for that TDP credit, and so staff can get credit for that. But the idea is that we'll outline some time with coordinators based on subject and grade level for teachers to come in, collaborate with the coordinator, maybe collaborate with their new team, and really just have some additional time with some support. We're looking at having that offered in August, so that staff can participate in that. Again, it would not be required. It's just one of those things we're offering. And we have found that when we do offer extra time with support or, just those optional opportunities, a lot of teachers do take advantage of those times.
Okay, Mrs. Voigt?
I want to say that I appreciate the administration trying really hard to roll out option E1 for next year as planned by as the board voted to do. But with the current being short-staffed in accounting, being short-staffed in the PR department, I think the board should please be aware of the challenges that are coming up with the technology conversions that the district's going through right now. I have experienced the process of merging one school with another. We're trying to reconfigure 6 schools in the process for next year. And I think that's a really tall expectation for the board to make of the administration. So I just would hopefully help them to realize that is asking a lot. And for this board to realize that for us to do things effectively, it takes a while to work the bugs out of a computer conversion. And my heart goes out to Steve Schloman and the issues that he's experienced during the course of the process this year. That we have to have and communicate to the district the grace that has to go along with those kinds of mistakes that can look really like we're incompetent and we don't know what we're doing, and it's really it's something that we have to really communicate that we're trying to do our best, and I would hope that people can understand that. The other thing I'd like to do is to ask us to reconsider one phase of option E1. I want to begin by saying I totally favor the plan to move STEM grades 6 to 8 to Horning next year, and to allow the closure of Saratoga. I visited Saratoga this last week along with.
Point of order. I believe we just had a confirmation that we have established the timeline and that no discussion of reconsideration or anything would be in order unless it was raised by someone who voted in favor of the original plan. Did I misunderstand the intent of that, Dr. Piasek?
No, your point of order is well taken. At this time, we're not considering changes to the plan that was voted on unless there's a motion to reconsider by an affirming member. So I think we should move on, Mrs. Voigt.
I would hope that one of my fellow board members that I've shared one of my concerns with might raise that
Point of order.
Opportunity.
It seems inappropriate to me, first of all, at the ruling of the chair, but also then to move forward with lobbying somebody to make such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Wad. I could move to someone else, or you could switch to a different topic.
I think it's important to realize that it's hard for a group of 9 people to think of all the far-ranging consequences of an implementation plan. And some things that have arisen as the rollout comes about, would be something that I would hope that we could be aware of and flexible enough to be able to do a minor tweak in an overall procedure that could make it.
Mrs. White,
better.
what would be appropriate would be if you have questions for the administration about the implementation or problems that you see with the implementation. But tweaking or modifying the plan would require a motion to reconsider by someone who voted in the affirmative in November.
So I guess my question is, how best can we serve the 99 students with IEPs that are being displaced from Horning, that are being reassigned to Les Paul, that the special ed staff there is going to be asked to serve in an environment at 101% capacity.
That's an important question for the administration.
Yeah, so of course, our special education students are staffed by caseload, by individual teachers. So there'll be teachers that will be coming along with those students in order to meet their needs, to deliver their specially designed instruction, to ensure that everything is happening the way it should be for our students. So as we move forward, we'll be having time for our case managers to have transition IEPs for all the students who will be transitioning to a new environment. That happens generally in our system multiple times, moving from different school levels. So we're going to do that obviously just by moving different schools, and that will be a huge part of the process to help. It involves case managers, parents, students, the other receiving school. So those things will begin to happen here, and Les Paul will be working with those students as they have before and doing great things with our students who have special needs. When it comes to our students with special needs, I think sometimes individuals don't understand that the least restrictive environment is what we push for our students, and students who have IEPs are in regular classes 100% of the time and receive support in different ways. It's not a separate program. It is a program that thrives in the regular education environment with outstanding teachers and is supported by outstanding teachers. And so a majority of the specially designed instruction that happens is done in the regular education classroom. Some is pulled out if needed, which meets the individual student's needs, and there is ample space for those things to happen in the buildings and happen at a high level.
Different topic or the same topic?
I just want to reference a point that we were recommended when we visited New Berlin, to have like at least a 90% capacity in a building to be able to take into consideration the space needed to be able to best serve students with disabilities. And when we're at 101% capacity, that's not going to be possible within Les Paul and Butler for the upcoming year. I do have a second concern.
Okay.
No one else has anything.
Mrs. Kozlowski had her hand raised. Let's go to you and then we can go back.
Thank you. These slides are fantastic. I greatly appreciate you putting these together. Are they shared on the website? Have they been emailed to parents?
They will be on the website late tonight or tomorrow morning under the news section. And then we'll also put them on the planning for next year webpage. And then we can talk about what is included in the next communication.
Okay. I think it's important. Just the one pager, just for me, and reading through them, I thought was really excellent. It clarified student services was a lot of a meeting when you're talking about all of the different steps and the open enrollment versus school choice. Are you in district, out of district? What if I'm here? What if I'm there? I think this is really helpful from a visual, so I appreciate that. I'm going to go with, I have three things that I wanted. The handouts was the first one, and making sure that our community gets those as well. And I also appreciate the emails that we're sending that gave the or, and really helping direct what they need to do, where they need to do it. And I believe my next question is going to be for Mrs. Thiede, which is, we get a lot of questions regarding the phase that we're in for the staffing model and when we know what that's going to look like. Am I correct in hearing that we think that's the end of February?
I've been communicating to staff that we'll have an idea of course selection and the sectioning in February, and then we do a lot of cleanup. So between February and March would be where we would be hoping to communicate with teachers' placement once we know the number of sections and teaching staff that we need.
Okay, perfect. It just wasn't on the presentation, and I wanted to put some type of idea of a timeline. And then my last topic, which is the biggest one, is really to talk about the emails, the communication, the transportation, so it's a very loaded piece. And I've tried to navigate where we've been. I think that just even listening to the community, there's some level of an understanding that I think we could say human error is always involved in data and mail merges and merging in systems. And I want to highlight that I would have expected throughout the course of this and even in the process as we go that there's going to be bumps and hurdles that we will go through. But I need to highlight how angry I am. And I shared that with the cabinet at one point, and I think I've probably mellowed a little bit, but I'm pretty angry. We had every opportunity in the midst of a very, very hard time for this community to pull off the one thing that was in our control and to do it right. And not only did we fail, I mean, we failed big. We had everything in our control. It was preventable. And for someone who sits and works in software development and system merge and ERP implementations and data, I can't tell you the amount of testing and scoping and sequencing that is done to do different things. And there was populations that we could have done. It was internal testing. And I'm less concerned now about a lot of the noise on why it happened and more concerned about the snowball effect that had with the trust with the community, certain pieces with that. And sitting here tonight, I still honestly do not know if I have a good handle or a comfort level on whether or not people have the information in their hands that tells them what school am I at, where am I going, and do I have busing or not? And I hear their concerns loud. It's do I or not, and what have we done? A lot of times when things go south, I agree, there could have been an opportunity that we could have raised a flag, roll it back, communicate, whoa, gosh, we would have gotten stones thrown for that as well, but at least it would have stopped the multiple missteps in communication and emails, and I just can't get my arms around the angst that has caused the community, it's caused for the board, it's deflected away from us really focusing on all of the steps. It's been rough. So my question is, where are we really with the communication to our community on what school are they going to, and do they or do they not have a bus? In honesty, and not like this school got it, this school didn't. Maybe you did, but maybe you didn't. Couldn't tell you. Sorry, oops. I get some of that. I want to know truly where are we so that there is some level of a comfort as a sitting board member that says, we messed this up big, but can we recoup it well?
Let's have Mr. Pat talk about the transportation, and then we can have Mr. Schloman come up as well, answer anything that he can for you. But the transportation, essentially, I'll just start, 66% of our kids are not changing schools. So if they had transportation, they continue to have transportation, and if they didn't, they don't. So that was clear. And then Mr. Pat can talk about the remaining third and how we did that communication.
Yes, on Monday, December 29th, regarding the 66%, it was sent that to families are 4K through 7th grade. If you are a family that currently receives transportation to your boundary area school and has the same boundary area school assignment for the 26-27 school year, this was after the ability to do the school search came out, you will continue to be eligible for transportation. That is the 66% that went out and continues to talk about where to reach out to continue to come to us and ask questions, which the Enrollment and Transportation Office has continually answered and had, as you would expect, hundreds of conversations to support individuals and give them the information they are looking for. And then that leaves us to the final 1/3 of our families who would have been impacted by the change in boundaries and school closures. So that information was sent out in the same letter, and that letter, the same body of a letter with a change. Either you are not eligible or you are eligible for transportation to your attendance area school for next year. That information is 100% out and is 100% correct. I am verifying that by the responses we are getting for hazard areas. So we have about 20 individuals who have reached out directly saying, I received this. I'm looking to, I believe I am 2 miles away based on the criteria we sent out with our communication, and I qualify for a bus. It says I didn't qualify for a bus. And so we're working through those individuals, and that happens on an annual basis with new bus routes and people moving and shifts. And so we are working through that right now with those individuals. So it's 100% that those 2 emails went out to our families, and we are getting responses from those individuals. There was a third email that went to our dual language families directly as well, reminding them of the qualifications for busing, that dual language students who are who have English as a first language, that is a choice program for them, and transportation is not provided. And our students who have English as a second language, that information will be coming directly to them, and we'll be reaching out, as we have in years past, to have them all routed to their home school or to their RSA regional service area school, or where they for dual language. So that is 100% transportation-wise. All of that information has been sent to our families for K through 7th.
And is it fair to say that different emails are going out for different groups? So you have the 2/3 group, you've got the 1/3 group, but you also have a dual language group that I believe what I understood was that those families were receiving separate communication. So there's, and the reason I think it's important is, as a parent, when I'm talking to, the group chats that I'm in, depending on who you are or what program, you could be in a mono and a dual, you could be in a same chat, but you are in different programming, which means you may get a different email that is separate from somebody else in your chat. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say that, yes, that not everyone is receiving every email that is being sent by us. So there definitely could be confusion over, you got one, I didn't. So yes.
Okay.
In terms of the school that they go to, we're using the school search feature that Mr. Schloman created. And when they enter their address, it tells them their boundary elementary school assignment, their boundary middle school assignment, their boundary high school assignment, as well as their regional service area school. I think Mr. Pat can probably speak to this as well. When we have open enrolled dual language families, so if you're open enrolled from a different school into a school that's closing, and then we're moving the school that's closing to a different school, altogether to one school, if you would, depending on where you live, you might be in a different regional service area than where your child is going to get moved, and that's caused some confusion, right? Because the regional service areas are geographic, but when we're making some of these moves, we're trying to keep kids together, like we talked about earlier. So they might be going from Bethesda to Lowell, but if you live in Rose Glen, for example, your regional service area is higher, right? So there's some confusion with those pieces, but am I saying that accurate, Mr. Pat?
Correct. Our goal with dual language is to in communication that I sent out was all dual language families who were attending specific schools, or most of them, and part of them will go to these schools. And so that, to be true to that, the regional service areas, or the home schools that exist in the school search, are different from the actual schools that we already inputted as enrolled for our dual language families. So those families can go into their verification and should see their enrollment, dual language enrolled school, and then if they choose not to take that school, they can choice to a different school from there, like anyone else can. So we tried to really just make it easy for our dual language families who are displaced, that if I went to Bethesda, all of Bethesda will go to Lowell for dual language, and similar individuals will be together, and we'll move forward in that manner. But when you look the school search up, the RSA would be different for the example that Dr. Siebert gave, which I believe has created some confusion as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do have one other.
Is it related to
It
this
is.
topic? Okay, so I think there are some others that may want to comment also on the communication part. Do you think it's appropriate to tee up the next part? I haven't forgotten that Mrs. Voigt also was back in line, and there
I
might
can
be some
throw it
other-
out, and if it works its way into conversations,
Okay.
it does. Is that fair?
Yep.
The other question is on the maps themselves. So we hear a lot of questions that I was Summit View and now I'm Rose Glen, or I live across the street from Lowell, but I'm going over someplace else. And I think all of us have tried to do some crazy math with how do you take these boundaries and figure out where they are in enrollment. And I would just like to get some information as to how it was done. Why is it weird if I drive past Lowell and I'm assigned to Summit View? I think it's just, I think, good exercise just to talk about some of the brainstorming that went behind it and the why that is part of it. That's it.
Thank you. So before we get some responses on that, Mrs. Voigt, is it okay if we continue on this topic and then I can come back to you? Okay. I noticed Mr. Wad wanted to say something. Do you want to say it or ask it before we allow the administration to respond, or?
Well, it may be another item that I want the administration to respond to from a communication.
Okay, why don't we have you all
On the boundary?
start, and then we can come back.
Sure, so Mr. Schloman can speak to the boundaries.
So the Summit View Lowell situation is strictly a capacity issue. That if you look at the way that boundary was constructed, it was constructed specifically because there was more capacity in Summit View, but we had geographical proximity, so we were very close, and we couldn't move an entire boundary down because we would engulf Lowell with the Summit View boundary. So we had to work our way around that and make that horseshoe shape to get enough capacity into Summit View, essentially. The situation that the public speakers were speaking about earlier, I think that's one you're referring to, is like I live across the street from Lowell, but I've been assigned to Banting. That was a dual language student, and that was related to what Mr. Pat was saying, was they were a Hawthorne student. They got reassigned to Banting to try and keep those kids together, essentially. So that's exactly the situation there. And that can be corrected. I mean, all they have to do is request that they get moved to Lowell, and, you know, I'm sure that would be granted, so.
I think that's a good explanation.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the dual language is really what's causing the complexity here, because we're trying to keep the dual language folks together, but yet we've sort of rearranged the rest of the physical dual language boundaries. So, because we had 4 regional service areas, now we have 3, right? And we've also, instead of trying to divide the elementary schools in the middle with the regional service areas, we've tried to keep similar to what we did with the high schools and the middle schools, we tried to keep whole elementaries together in a regional service area, so that chunked it up, right? Rose Glen is a very large expanse out there, and so we had to take all of that and put it in the higher regional service area. So it seems odd because you're way out here on West, but why would you go to higher? Because we wanted to keep all of that together, essentially.
Thank you.
Germane to this topic.
Specific to boundaries? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. It's specific to the comments we heard during public comments and some of the complaints, and I just want to understand whether there was an issue, who was impacted. I don't know how much of that is boundary related versus
Communication.
Yeah.
I think we're on the same topic, so why don't you go ahead?
Okay. So, as I alluded to, we heard several parents come to and community members come to the podium tonight, and the impression that I got, I don't know if I wasn't following properly was that none of the Hawthorne parents got email notification when they were expecting to get it. Is that accurate or not?
Yes, it's accurate, yes.
So can you help me understand what happened in that particular situation?
Yes, what happened in that situation is on Tuesday night at my student services meeting, I referenced that this email went out to all families regarding school choice. On the morning of January 5th. In stating that, what ended up happening is there was human error that was involved. So the actual email itself, so I didn't come to find out the human error for a couple of days in the system, but the actual email itself on the morning of January 5th did not go to any families in our district. The human error was set for the 27 school year. So our system didn't have it sent. So that was not discovered. So when I spoke, the individual who made the error did not have knowledge for a couple of days, and I had no knowledge. So what I was stating when it came to those families and the reasons why some of our families don't receive information is valid, as Dr. Siebert responded to individuals as well. In pinpointing that and going through the process, we found out later that that did not occur. So we, at the time on the 7th, we weren't aware of where that email went, and we sent another one as a precaution, which had the same information, which started our school choice information window, and that is what we're sending those reminders on a weekly basis, as individuals have till the 30th to be able to do that.
Okay, if I can just make a few comments on this topic. I'm going to be blunt. The problems that we've had around emails, both in December and now in January, are absolutely unacceptable. And I have serious concerns about what we are doing from a system testing perspective, what we're doing from a verification perspective, and what we're doing to ensure that when we think emails went out, that they actually went out with the information on it. I also need assurances, in addition to, okay, we are going to ensure from this point forward that communications that we send are accurate, are going to the individuals that we say they're going to, and that the information is correct, that if we do find a problem, we are not going to try to solve it on the fly anymore and compound our problems. I am embarrassed that this has been the experience that our families have had around these issues. And what makes this particularly frustrating is all of the data we have in our system is correct. We have been mapping things correctly. We have been assigning schools correctly. Yes, there's some of these nuances around the regional service areas and dual language, and that may be confusing. We can work through those on a one-on-one basis. But it is our processes, our technology processes, that are failing because we are not being diligent, we're not being careful, and we are not testing properly. And that needs to end right now, and I hope that there has been a full after-action review of both of these things, that clear expectations have been set, that there are test plans in place, that there are people reviewing them, and that there are people being held accountable for these mistakes, because they are a black eye on this district, they are a black eye on this process that are absolutely unnecessary, and to Ms. Kozlowski's point, completely avoidable.
Okay, I think the question of what checks and balances are being put in place and what assurances can the board have that the avoidable communication errors are behind us.
I'll let Mr. Schloman talk to that.
So what we've done is we're simplifying our communications so that we're not trying to do, and that's why you're seeing different communications going to different people at different times. So instead of trying to do a complex, everybody gets this and we mail merge in data for different people, we have simplified it down to say, okay, we can confirm, we're not mail merging anything into this email. Basically, we're proofing that email, we're translating that email, and confirming that that email is set to go for this specific group of individuals. In the case of the transportation, we had 2 emails, one that said you are eligible, one that says you're not eligible, and we took out the variables of the mail merge or the fill-in from the system. So there is still a complexity of the way that the system actually configures and delivers the emails. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say that it's a great tool, because it's not. Infinite Campus, I'm going to tell you right now, is their messenger system is complex, and it allows for a lot of variables. Mr. Pat just described one that's happened to us more than once, in that if the wrong calendar is selected, it will queue up an email, but it won't tell you that it didn't send that email. So the software isn't great in design, and therefore it leaves the ability for human error to be introduced. And yes, we can test that. The way we're doing that now is we're actually, we've been testing all along. We were sending test emails, but there's no real way to test whether everyone on that delivery list got that email. You can't confirm that because there are also emails that get bounced. Some families don't have accurate information with us. I think some of that is also introduced into the system. So yeah, we are doing pretty much everything that we can do to confirm that, and we've simplified our process so that we don't introduce any errors in the process of sending them out.
Okay. When did the district acquire Infinite Campus?
We've had Infinite Campus probably, let's see, I've been here 14 years. I think we've been on it like 12 years probably. Yep, I think 12 years is an accurate number.
I struggle with how we don't understand how to use that tool after all these years of having it, and that every other communication that we send from it, including registration and fees and all that. I mean, it's clunky. As a parent, I know that there are things that it's difficult sometimes to navigate, but we have to be experts in using the tools that we have. I think that's the part that I struggle with greatly, is that we have a tool that we've had for over a decade, and it's kind of a weak explanation for an avoidable outcome. And not to rehash what's already been said, but it really is unfortunately causing a huge trust and just an information problem. So we have time. This is middle of January, but we must ensure that the tools that people need access to for acknowledging their boundaried school, for applying for school choice, that all of those things stay online and stay accessible, and that we are readily available to respond to the questions that families have, because I think we do agree we understand that the information in the system is as accurate as we believe it can be, but there are going to be questions and clarifications. And I think we could have managed those questions and clarifications and a few hiccups, but retained some credibility in the process without having the unfortunate initial incident. So we have to ensure that going forward, the communications that go out are going out as we expect them to. And that we're available to answer any questions that are coming in, like readily available. And if that means that we're staffing redundant people, we need to do that. I also am kind of concerned that there are these manual settings in the communication setup. So what are we doing to ensure that anything that's set manually by an operator has a second and a third set of eyes on it?
Well, we'd have to have staff to do that, which we don't. So, I mean, we generally, generally this is, we were doing it in the IT department. We've had, and we were doing it around the holiday time, so, people were on vacation, things like that. So, we did not have extra staff to be able to have multiple people looking at that, so. But we are now teaming up with the Transportation and Enrollment Office. They're doing those emails, and we're working with them so that we confirm the list of students.
Dr. Siebert, how many people work in this building?
Sharon would guess 40 to 60.
Just to follow up on that answer, I would say about 50 of us are here full-time. There's a lot of people who are housed here, so I would say 50 is the answer you're looking for.
We got to find the people, second, third set of eyes. I think anybody sitting at this table here would be more than willing to come in and look at something to make sure that the boxes are checked. I do understand that the system is not straightforward, but by December 19th, we were well over a month into anticipating what needed to be done. So I'm just struggling with that a little bit, Steve, because I think that's not a reason to just push go anyway. But Mr. Wad, do you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, I was just, I would echo your comments. I would hope that after these two incidents now that we've discussed, there is an understanding among our administrative staff here. We need some sort of a formal go, no-go process that have multiple decision makers who can look at a key communication before it goes out, ensure all of the potential scenarios, that is a type of a student at this school that might be dual language, a type of student here that needs busing, doesn't, whatever the communication is. When there are variables being involved or there are manual processes being involved, that there is oversight from multiple people to ensure before the enter button is hit that there is agreement that they are confident that it is sound and ready to go and isn't going to result in the kinds of email issues that we've had in the last month. I don't know if any of those processes are in place, but if not, I think before any more critical communications go out, that needs to be ironed out, and the people that need to be the decision makers at the table need to be identified.
I think the expectations are clear, so I think we'd like to just understand what that plan is to ensure that we're not sending things out without checks. Is there anyone else on this particular topic? Mrs. Kren?
I do have a communication comment that I'd like to add to this. I think probably this is best for maybe Dr. Siebert. You had mentioned that you're working or starting to work with the principals at the schools. Can you talk just a little bit about that? What are the communication factors that you're working with them on right now?
What we're hearing from a couple of the schools is that some of the families don't know that they're closing. I don't think it's a a large segment of the population, but I think in a couple of instances, in two of the three schools that are closing, we're hearing that repeatedly. So that's where we've said, Ms. Gunderman and I, meeting with those principals, you can use your tools. We didn't think it was fair to them out of the gate to have their school close and then expect the principal to be the one communicating that. So we took the district approach to that. But we're now at a point where we're saying, you can use your class dojo, you can use your different types of communication aspects that you use at the school level to say positive things, like, in case you didn't know, right, this is what's happening. We have this window open right now for you to look at your new boundary school or to apply for school choice. We're going to finish this school year strong. Your child is going to be fine next year. Things like that, right? But we're trying to have the schools utilize their tools to make sure that all of their families know to take that off the table.
Thank you. And then as far as flyers and things like this, are these also being distributed by the principals?
Ms. Gunderman can take that.
This was just recently created based on the questions and just the want to clarify some of the communication and language around it. So we do have a principal meeting and a communication that's going out between today and Monday, and so we'll be sharing these with them. But like I said, they were just recently created.
Okay, so no other documents prior to that either were just like anything that was similar to this, not particularly this one, but I'm just wondering what kind of documentation prior to this discussion I'm having now, was there anything shared by principals prior? No?
No, because we were taking the district approach.
Right.
Because those schools were closed.
Okay. So I would like to request, because I think it's vital that our principals are also sharing this information when it's presented. So when you do have that, that principal meeting coming up, I do think that making it a request to them to, really be sure that they are sharing these things. I think coming from the principal directly to the school families and that community directly is going to really help with communication as well. I do have a transportation question as well.
Hold that thought for a second. Maybe to wrap this topic, so if somebody doesn't acknowledge their boundary area assignment by January 30th, are we reaching out to confirm that they understand? What is the result of a no acknowledgement?
Mr. Pat and I have been working on that, but the plan is, yes, we want positive confirmation of that you understand what school you're being assigned to. So beginning next week, we're going to be extracting the folks that have already submitted requests or confirmations, and then we will compare that with the rest of the district list, and we will start sending more targeted communication to them. And if they're still not responding, then we're going to have the actual schools reach out via voice or some other method so that they get a confirmation that they understand what school they're being assigned to.
Prior to the 30th, you'll be doing all of that?
That's correct.
Okay, I think that's important because if they don't, there are other things that kind of fall through the cracks.
Right, we're going to continue to ratchet up the communication beginning next week and get more targeted to say, okay, our records indicate you have not completed this. Do you understand this needs to be completed? Or you're going to continue to get communication.
Okay. I just want to clarify, is there anyone else that wants to address the communication pieces? Okay, and we have a transportation question. And I want to go back to Mrs. White. What would you, is it okay if we address that? Okay.
Transportation first.
Okay, go ahead.
Great, thank you. I did hear Mr. Pat talk about a hazard area. Wondering if you could kind of explain what a hazard area is and if a family lives within that, what are their options as far as busing goes? if they are not currently set to receive busing?
Yeah, so a hazard area can be a lot of different things. There is no, like, set, this is a hazard because of this. It could be multiple factors or even not one of them. But in general, it might be a lack of sidewalks, maybe a lack of a crossing guard, railroad crossing, width of a shoulder, the amount of traffic itself, a busier road, temporary hazards, it's construction here and kids can't cross it, right? So maybe they need a bus for that school year. Or some other condition. It could be a bend in the road that they would have to go by. It could be a hilly portion where a car comes screaming down and the road is wider. So those are all things that are considered for hazards. And so our school district has those identified within the community. And with some of the school changes, now some of the routes of walkers. So these are walking hazards, of course. And so what ends up happening is individuals will reach out to us once, as I stated, once they receive their information that they qualify for walking, and then they request that there is a potential hazard, and we look into it, and I make the final decision on if there's a hazard area or not, and those are fluid areas that we will continue to look at from now through the summer when routing happens. So we added 2 different hazard areas thus far, based on streets. One of them was Sunset, in of itself, so busy, and individuals who were, when we changed Hadfield's boundary and put it to higher, having to cross Sunset and not receiving busing to Hadfield is not okay, and it's a hazard, so that is a hazard area, and those individuals receive busing to hire based on that. And then the other one was with Bethesda and the walk to Summit View, the boundary that was discussed for Bethesda families. There's a pocket in south of Madison where there's not crossing guard accessibility. There is a crossing guard at Grandview and Madison, and so individuals who live closer there who would head to Summit View can utilize the crossing guard at the busy road and then continue to go up to Summit View. And then other individuals would receive busing within a specific area up to Summit View because of Madison being a hazard. There's a couple of hills that are within there for elementary students. Age of a student obviously has an impact as well. And then there's lack of some crosswalks, and that combination, it designated a hazard area.
So then just in summary, if family does feel like they are in a hazard area, they should just reach out to district administration. Okay,
yes.
Great. Thank you so much for all that information. I appreciate it.
Okay, Mrs. Voigt.
Question related to the transportation that wasn't part of my original plan is the idea of hub transportation. Because not all the students in dual language that are being relocated now are eligible if the English is their first language is a choice from what you were saying. Could we try to do some hub transportation where some of the kids are eligible, maybe if a bus is going, that some of the other kids could ride along, to make it a little bit simpler for some of the families that may not have the luxury of being able to provide transportation across town?
It's not something we've done in the past. I don't have any plans for it. The options would be if it is the student's home attendance area school and they live out, and a dual language school, right, and they're in the dual language program, that was communicated to families as well, they will qualify for busing. So if you were, Lowell was your home attendance area school and you lived 2 miles out, but you're a dual language student who was an English first speaker, you would qualify for busing. There's the potential for pay-to-ride options, which a lot of our families that fall underneath the 2 mile component, they're 1.99 miles out. They use that now in our current system, and it's something that we anticipate will be utilized next year as well. And those are the potential options, but I don't have any scenario for hub busing at this time or anything on that.
Just a consideration of that as being possibly something to help make it a little bit easier.
Our first step is to get an idea here in the next couple of months of our routes and what they would look like when we go through this choice component. So as the data was shared with the amount of choice students we have at the elementary, once that's finalized, we then have options to start looking at some projected routing, and so that's our next step. And from there, we can then look at all options after we have our initial homeschool projected busing routes.
Okay. That kind of ties in with part of the 2 formal equity complaints that have been filed against the implementation of option E1 for the school district. One just came yesterday, and it's like 140-some pages long, so I'm sure not everybody's had a chance to look through it. But like a lot of the concerns there were, and I'm asking, how does that impact this rollout when there is a challenge that's potentially being reviewed between now and January 20th, I think is the first one. The 90-day review process is up. How does the district address the kinds of things that were included in the challenge in terms of remediations that they were expecting to see, to be able to make sure that all the students are being able to be treated fairly in the process?
Do you want to speak to the regulatory timeline on that, Dr. Siebert, or just simply? With the initial complaint, the one I'm aware of, we are following our policy and are investigating said complaint. So we wouldn't be changing protocol or anything that we're doing with implementation during an investigation. Thank you.
So what ends up happening? If it does go, both of the complaints were in the context of a 90-day, let's try to see what's wrong. What's the next step? I don't know how complaints like this work with DPI, et cetera, and what could end up happening if it is actually filed with them, per se.
I suppose that would depend on the outcome of the investigation.
Correct. I couldn't predict what would happen if they sent a complaint to DPI, and then they would have to do an investigation. They would have to determine if they think there's anything wrong. But again, our complaint is being processed per our policy and protocol.
Would there be a chance that, like, DPI would say that, an injunction to say that this is not appropriate to be able to go the next step with it if it's in violation? Yeah, I'm asking. I have no idea what the next step is going to be.
I don't know that it would be in the board's or the district's best interest to hypothetically respond to those questions. I think we have to let the process work its way through, but I don't know if.
I was just going to say I can't predict what DPI would do.
Yeah, the complaint looks like it's identifying, the fact that we didn't get feedback from the community, the families that would be affected, and we didn't document mitigation steps to prevent or lessen the process, the harm. So I guess I'm wondering, what our liability is, what our, next step could be if we implement at this point without realizing what that consequence might be.
I think we have to allow the investigative process to play out the way that it's documented. I don't know that there's any opportunity for us to comment on the hypothetical, given that these are allegations that have to be investigated. So I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know if any of the administrators could either, but I still don't believe it's in the district's best interest to hypothetically respond. Did you have something else, Mrs. White? Or did anyone else?
Everybody else have another turn.
Mrs. Koenig would like, okay.
That's fine.
Thank you. I have a question is regarding redistricting. So I'm not sure who would be the best person to direct this to, Mr. Schloman, Mr. Pat. I've had quite a few constituents throughout the entire district area, in my different circles, that have expressed their support for the need to close schools. They understand. One thing that they do ask, though, is when it comes to the redistricting piece, a lot of them maybe weren't paying as close of attention as, we'd like them to. And they may not be directly affected, but they may know someone that is. Their question is always, why did we end up redistricting so many people at the same time with these school closures? I have a good understanding of why, and I've tried to explain that. However, I would like professionally, maybe one of the experts in here to be able to maybe give a minute or so brief explanation of why the decision was made at this time to do that, so that I can refer them to this video and this timestamp, so that, it could be a little bit more better explanation. I'm not sure that was really part of, maybe developed enough in the whole conversation of why all different districts, all different regions were kind of reshuffled. Like I said, I understand because I've been a part of this, I've been watching. I understand the concept that if you close a few schools, these kids need to go somewhere, and then sometimes that can shift the populations of an existing building. But could someone just give a really nice, clear explanation of why this needed to reach a greater area now, and what the benefits are of what you saw of why we did this?
Sure. Essentially, we were trying to balance out the district. It has been many, many years since we've rebalanced those boundaries. A good example of that was when we closed Whittier, we just essentially took their boundary and assigned it to Hadfield. So if you looked at the Hadfield boundary, it went way down to Lonsdale. It was an enormous, long boundary. And the same thing was happening on the west side with Summit View and Rose Glen. Summit View's boundaries were going way out on the west side, so past Rose Glen even. And so what we were trying to do is we were trying to balance the schools and get some of the smaller schools actually have more students in them. At the same time, optimize the bus routes as well, because we would no longer have those long runs running. I think Mr. Clark has talked about this in the past, but we had long runs of buses that were essentially running parallel to each other, going to different schools. And so by sort of optimizing those and getting them into more geographical square shapes, I guess, if you want to say, or rectangles, as opposed to these long oblong shapes. That was the primary reason, essentially, was to balance out the population. And we always knew that the folks that were currently in those schools were probably going to be allowed to choice back into those schools to finish out those in those schools. So we didn't want to displace those folks from those schools, but we also knew we had to draw a line in the sand at some point and say, okay, going forward, you're in this area, right? And so there was really no way to do that other than to say, hey, we're going to basically redraw this map and make it more logical. If we were laying it out from scratch today, that's kind of what we tried to do. And we also tried to use the major roadways, and major roadways have changed considerably over the last 15 years. And so it's much easier then to know what your boundary is. I'm north of Sunset, or I'm north of Madison, or I'm west of the bypass, things like that. So that was the primary reason.
I would just add one thing that's tied to using the major roads as the boundaries. Is, first of all, it's clear for families, but also, though people were used to it, we had several boundaries that went right through a neighborhood where truly one block would be cut. 3 houses down, the kid who lives there is going to a different school within a neighborhood. So there was a guiding principle. It wasn't like we had to hit that as a tenant, but the benefit of the major roads was the clarity for people, but more importantly, to make those neighborhoods whole.
So thank you. This is very helpful. Again, I understand what you just said, but I appreciate that you said this clearly, so that maybe people that can watch this would better understand. So just in summary, to just close 2 buildings and not redistrict anywhere else, what would that have looked like?
We would really not have had the capacity in any one particular school to take all of those students, or even 2 schools. And so, geographically, where those schools were located, that would have looked like some very funny boundaries. I mean, so for instance, they would have had to go, all the Hawthorne kids would have had to probably go to Summit View because that's where we had capacity. So that boundary would have looked very odd, because now you would have basically almost been encircling Lowell and it would have gone completely around it. And then the Bethesda boundary, they would have had to gone to Rose Glen, essentially, because that was the only school big enough, probably, and I don't think that would have even been big enough to take all of those Bethesda families. But again, that's out quite a distance from Bethesda if you're going out that way, so.
Thank you. Like I said, I understand, and if anyone were to look at the boundaries on a map, you would scratch your head and wonder how on earth did this ever happen in the first place. But I do understand, and I hope people watching and people that I will send to this minute mark will better understand the reason and need for having to do this at the same time. I know it's not easy, and some people who maybe didn't think they were affected and suddenly were, I understand the anger and confusion, but I hope they better understand why this had to happen now, and not doing anything really wasn't an option for exactly the reason you said, because where would all the children from the two schools go? And it was something that needed to be looked at and probably should have been handled, many, many years ago. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Other questions? Mrs. Voigt?
One of the concerns that's been raised is the idea that the schools, Bethesda, Hawthorne, Whittier, had substantial investments made during the recent referendum. And just wondering, as far as good stewardship goes, what the repurposing might be options instead of selling those particular facilities.
You mentioned Hawthorne. What was the other one, Diane? I didn't.
Bethesda?
Okay, that's what I thought.
Hawthorne and Whittier.
Yeah, we're in conversations with other schools about maybe leasing them. And we've also had some conversations, very preliminary conversations with the city about how maybe, and mainly Park and Rec, how we might partnership and utilize those buildings for the betterment of their services and maybe services that we could also run side by side with them as well. Again, very preliminary conversations. I also think that depending on the outcome of Pleasant Hill and whether that building is sold or not, that I think Richardson School, we've had conversations with them about potentially moving, if they're not interested in the purchase themselves, and I have no idea if they are, maybe relocating but maintaining our relationship with them because we are their landlord, but we're also a client of the services offered there. We purchase many seats there for some of our students. So we have a wide array of ideas now. We also have talked about administratively of one building maybe becoming like our educational center where we run trainings and things like that out of that could be used for community use. Again, to maintain those buildings because we do want some utilization of those buildings ongoing. That's a goal that we've talked about a lot here at the board and during our community sessions during the summer is no one wants completely idle buildings sitting in their neighborhoods. So I think we have a list of things that we're tying ourselves into, but I'll be honest, there's many conversations going on, but our focus right now is in that implementation. And I've talked with Dr. Siebert repeatedly, let's get to September 1st, and then we can really dive into, unless something truly great comes before us, right, we'll certainly respond. But those are just some of the ideas that we've talked about in the last few months about possible options.
Anything else? Okay, is there anything else that you wanted to share with the board, Dr. Siebert, on your update?
No, I don't believe so. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. We are going to move then next to the consent agenda. There are no gifts to report this evening. Your agenda includes various categories for approval. If any board member wishes to have an item set aside for separate consideration, you will have that opportunity. There were also no expulsions and no policies brought forward this month. That said, if any board member wishes to have an item set aside for separate consideration, please indicate so at this time. I suspect none. Okay, Mr. Zenobia, will you please present the consent agenda for approval?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Piasek. So earlier this evening, the Human Resources and Compensation Committee approved 1 resignation, 3 retirements, and 5 new or modified contracts. And that information was provided in your packet. An addendum was placed at your desk, and I would move that the consent agenda be approved as amended.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Brooks. Any further discussion? Okay, Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Carrie Kozlowski.
Aye.
David Wad.
Aye.
Betty Koenig.
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Natalie Gren.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Thomas Harlan.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye, passes 9-0. Back to Dr. Siebert for the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you, Dr. Piasek. We'll begin tonight with Ms. Gunnerman and the overnight field trip report.
I just have a few overnight field trips to share out that were recently approved. So the first one is South Boys Swim. That will be in January. South Cheer, also going state in Green Bay. That will be in February. South, and this also includes North and West students. It's the robotics team for an overnight field trip in March. West Dance Team in February, and West Model United Nation in March.
All right, thanks, Ms. Gunnerman. Very quickly tonight, we're halfway through January already, which means we're approaching the end of the first semester, which actually happens next Friday, January 23rd. So as we reach the halfway point, I just want to thank our talented staff, kids, and families for a great first half of the year, and without a doubt, we're poised to have a strong second semester, and look forward to it. So that concludes my report, Dr. Piasek.
Thank you, Dr. Siebert. Okay. Moving then to our committee reports. I hope that I have the right order here. Policy and Government Relations would be first. Mr. Watt, do you want to acknowledge?
Yeah, so we did not have a Policy and Government Relations Committee meeting in January. We will be returning in February 9th. And by then, all of the new Neola updates should be reviewed, and we'll be prepared to start tackling that next set of policies, but nothing for January.
It's like a rest day before your marathon. Okay. Next would be Finance and Facilities, given by Mrs. Kozlowski.
Thank you, Dr. Piasek. The Finance and Facilities Committee met on Monday, January 12th. There were no action items on the agenda, and there were 3 discussion or information items. The first item was the long-range budget projections. The administration presented a long-range budget forecast that is used to provide a framework for SDW's budget conversation. Over the next several months, the committee will be updated on the administration's progress in developing a balanced 2026-2027 budget for the board to consider later this year. The second discussion item was the Fund 39 debt payment. The committee was informed that next month, the Board of Education will be asked to authorize the April 1st, 2026 call provision on SDW's remaining Fund 39 debt. It was noted that by utilizing the call provision, local taxpayers will save $503,000 in avoided future interest costs and leave the district completely debt-free.
That's exciting. Thank you.
And the final discussion item was the monthly budget report. The committee received a fiscal update through December 31st. Revenues and expenditures will remain within budgeted parameters for all funds, and tax levy payments will begin in January. The next Finance and Facilities Committee meeting will be held on Monday, February 9th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. in the boardroom. Dr. Piasek, this concludes my report.
Thank you. Any additional questions for Mrs. Kozlowski? All right, thank you. We'll move on next to the Teaching and Learning Committee, given by Mrs. Koenig.
Thank you, Madam President. The last Teaching and Learning Committee meeting was held Tuesday, January 6th at 7 p.m. here in the boardroom. And we have 3 action items on our agenda for this evening. Our first action item is approval of Education for Employment Plan. State statutes 115.28 and 121.02 require that every school board provides access to an Education for Employment program approved by the state superintendent, and the state superintendent shall ensure that every school board is providing academic and career planning services to pupils enrolled in grades 6 through 12 in the school district. Laura Ryan, Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning, and Molly Habenschald, Career and Technology Education Coordinator, presented the annual Education for Employment Plan, which includes all of the required components as outlined by the state and CISA. The team shared several highlights, including 90% of students took one CTE class in 24-25. 75% of seniors took 2 or more classes in a CTE field. And we offer 6 DPI-recognized regional career pathways. On a vote of 5-0, the Teaching and Learning Committee approved the Education for Employment Plan as presented. We request board approval, and I so move.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Mr. Brooks and then Mrs. Koenig.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite presentations every year. I'm super passionate about career and technical education, just providing kids with different pathways, because you never know what's going to be the thing that just sets the light bulb off in that student's mind. What's going to be the thing that they discover that's a passion of theirs that's going to lead to just lifelong success. And Molly and her team do such a tremendous job with this, just seeing how much we actually are offering our students who are interested in this to pursue. I'm so grateful for their work, and I'm so excited to approve this tonight.
Mrs. Koenig.
And mine was just a similar comment. Molly and her team, this is an area that we truly rock. And to see what we have, available to our students, and the connections that we've made, and the success that this has brought, for our students, especially those that don't always follow a traditional path, it's just phenomenal. So I couldn't be more proud of what we do as a district in this area.
I agree. I think any opportunity to get this information and these opportunities in front of our students earlier and earlier in their path is valuable, because we do offer something that's very unique. Anything else? Okay, Mrs. Ettinger, would you take the roll call, please?
Anthony Zenobia,
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
Carrie Kozlowski.
Aye.
Thomas Harlan.
Aye.
Natalie Gren.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Betty Koenig.
Aye.
David Wad.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye, passes 9-0.
Okay. Our second action item is the approval of summer school program. The School District of Waukesha has offered a successful summer school program for several years. The program consists of academic and enrichment activities for all grade levels in accordance with Board Policy 2440 and Wisconsin State Statute 118.04. This report provided information on the proposed 2026 SDW summer school program. If approved, summer school will run from June 15th through July 10th, 2026. Students who take credit recovery classes or get-ahead classes will go longer. Banting, Higher, and South have been identified as the sites to host summer school, and transportation will continue to be an option for families this year. On a vote of 5-0, the Teaching and Learning Committee approved the summer school program as presented, and we request board approval, and I so move.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions about summer school? Or comments? Okay, Mrs. Ettinger.
Thomas Harlan.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Betty Koenig.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
David Wad.
Aye.
Carrie Kozlowski.
Aye.
Natalie Gren.
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye, passes 9-0.
Okay. And our final action item is the approval of the middle school schedule. In June of 2025, the middle school administrative team presented information on the middle school schedule. Since then, the administrative team has continued to investigate the 2 schedule options discussed earlier, a modified block or a 6-period day. The leadership team shared detailed information about the elective schedule and how the classes will be used to develop elective pathways for students. The team also presented information on student instructional time, instructional resources, and how the advisory time would be used to meet the individual needs of students. The team shared information on the staff instructional time, including what a student's schedule and a teacher's schedule would look like. The team recommended a 6-period school day with a longer advisory period and the school day starting 5 minutes earlier than the current middle school start time. On a vote of 5-0, the Teaching and Learning Committee approved the middle school schedule as presented. We request board approval, and I so move.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Mrs. Voigt. Any discussion about that? Mrs. Kozlowski.
Yeah, the team that has worked for quite a long time on putting this together presented just a phenomenal approach with a lot of research and understanding, not in just from the student learning experience to the teachers being able to navigate with this model. And I think some of the important pieces that we forget about are really the instructional time and where that time is going. And in this particular case, changing the schedule is ensuring that our students are getting the adequate time for ELA and math in specific, which I think is so critical because as we've talked about a lot in our KPIs, it's 3rd grade reading and it's 8th grade math. And this is one of those pieces that is so intrinsic into how all of these milestones work in the life development of our students that this refocus and revision is exceptional for that, but also it's helping prep them for the block schedule that they will see in high school. And so it's another great example of all of these things that we're doing along the way for the teaching and learning and the curriculum and the focus on students' education and what this looks like and feels like across from K through 12. It's truly remarkable when you get to start to see all the pieces put together. So I was very, very excited for the work that was done and to approve this. It's pretty fabulous.
Anyone else? Okay, Mrs. Ettinger.
David Wad.
Aye.
Thomas Harlan.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Natalie Gren.
Aye.
Betty Koenig.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
Carrie Kozlowski.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye, passes 9-0.
Madam President, that concludes the Teaching and Learning Committee report. Our next meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. here in the Blair Administration Boardroom.
Thank you. All right, we will move next to Student Services, presented by Mr. Harland.
Thank you, Madam President. The Student Services Committee meeting was held on January 6, 2026, and there were 3 discussion and information items on the agenda. The first was Switch Adapted Toys for Early Childhood. Jessica Parlier, an occupational therapist, presented information about the collaboration between Prairie Elementary Early Childhood Team as well as the Waukesha Engineering Preparatory Academy to develop 6 Switch Adapted Toys for our students with significant disabilities. The Waukesha Engineering team modified standard battery operating toys to work with accessibility switches, the simple press of a switch which activates the toy, making it possible for children with limited motor control to play independently. Commercially available switch-adapted toys range from $50 to $200, so significant cost savings were achieved by allowing our engineering team to adapt these toys, which typically cost between $10 and $25 to work with the accessibility switch. The team looks forward to continuing their partnership in the next school year and beyond.
Mr. Brooks, and then Mrs. Voigt.
Yeah, for anybody watching this that needs something to go back and just, if you need a smile someday, go back and watch that piece from the Student Services Committee, because it's so incredible just to see not just the elementary school kids who get to benefit from the toys that our engineering students are making, but to hear from the engineering students just how purposeful that was for them, and for them to be able to go to the elementary school and play with the kids and play with the toys with them and see just how much of an impact their work made on these young lives. I think it's so rewarding, and it was much needed pick me up here watching that in committee last week, because it was spectacular, and I can't applaud just the collaboration between our two teams there more than I can.
Mrs. Voigt?
That I was so impressed with that when I first saw the article in the paper about it, and then to see in action, like, the 6 toys that they've modified and their intention to do many more. This is just the beginning of a long-term kind of relationship that is really very mutually beneficial for the kids to be able to see, to do something that can be so practically involved in the success of the play for the younger kids. So it was just a great example.
Very uplifting.
Excellent. Our second item was open enrollment projections or annual space determination. Mr. Pat shared our district's 2026 and 2027 forecasted open enrollment space. Per policy 5113, the board shall review its open enrollment program annually before the open enrollment application period for the next school year. The window for the 2026-2027 school year is open from February 2nd to April 30th, 2026. Wisconsin state statute requires that every school board act on space availability at its regular board meeting in January. Each year, and state law also requires districts to declare the number of open seats at each grade level. The current 2026 to 27 forecasted space in our programs is shown in the chart provided. Where 0 seats are available, the district will establish a numbered waiting list for applicants. Furthermore, applicants who are put on the waiting list at a brick and mortar school also have the option to apply for a seat at the eAchieve Academy. And students who are currently enrolled in the school district of Waukesha are guaranteed a spot in the school.
Hang on 1 second. I need to clarify. Is there an action that's required to be taken on that?
Do we need to make a motion to approve the open enrollment projections?
Unfortunately, we're agendized for discussion, so we won't be able to take that action tonight, but we'll discuss how to follow up on that.
Sounds good.
Is there any discussion on that particular topic, though? Mr. Brooks, Mr. Wad, Mrs. Voigt?
I feel like some of what I was going to say was going to be mentioned by others, but so can we just, Mr. Pack, you did a really good job at our committee meeting explaining this, but not everybody watches those, as we all know. No offense. But I think when members of the public here were projecting 0 open enrollment slots, I know that was kind of the headline on I think it was the Freeman. Yeah. You see that and the alarm bells start going off in your head because you see that, and if you're missing this context, it's a little bit concerning. But can you explain the process why and why this policy, like why we're doing this specifically to kind of make sure that Waukesha students are being put first in this process?
Yeah, so open enrollment seats, what you project for open enrollment, you have to fulfill. Where by projecting 0 as the starting point, you then can wait till see what space you have, and then you can open those seats up for open enrolled students to our district. Again, this does not affect current students who are here on open enrollment. All of them have a place in our district. It's for any new open enrolled students to our brick and mortar schools. And we want to be able to ensure that through school choice with that our students get back to some of the schools maybe that they were districted out of, and our Waukesha students are first, of course, and we want, the school district of Waukesha has great programs, and we're open for school choice. The headline said 0, that's not true. We have 20 projected for K4. In years past, we have projected 0 at more than half the grade levels, I think 8 out of 14 last year, and about half the year before that, and it varies and it fluctuates. So if we're in a situation where specific grade levels are full and we project 5 or 10, we have to then find a seat at one of our schools or multiple schools for any of those students who open enrolled to our district and we accepted.
Great, so this is just kind of a backstop essentially to make sure all of our students who are currently going through this intra-district transfer school choice process, they get placed first, and then once that's taken care of, we can do an analysis and figure out where we can add potential open enrollment students.
That is correct.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Mr. Watt and then Mrs. Voigt.
Yeah, so I think Mr. Brooks asked the pertinent questions. I just want to clarify. So when we say 0, we mean we're retaining flexibility by not committing to any particular number. But we're saying 0 because we want to retain the right to determine what we do or don't have room for. And given the fact that we are going through a redistricting process and so forth, we may be particularly concerned this year about not knowing what we could commit to at this particular point in time until we get all of the enrollment of our current students set. And so we set it at 0 to maintain flexibility, not to say we won't take any open enrollment students this year, correct?
Correct. When you look at projected space that we have in our buildings, the space is there. It's just how it will manifest itself after all of our students are placed gives us flexibility and control over that as we move forward.
Mrs. Voigt.
My question had been related to e-Achieve, as we're trying to potentially have people come into that new program, location, et cetera. And if you wanted to speak to the changes that they've made to increase the ceiling for students for that particular program to potentially have open enrollment to.
Do you mean STEM or e-Achieve?
I'm STEM.
Okay.
I'm sorry, excuse me,
Oh,
STEM.
Sure. So part of our discussion with the principals and with the governance board has been around, there's currently 2 caps. There's an elementary cap and a middle school cap, and those won't be necessary anymore. So working with them to just take those 2 numbers, put them together for an overall school cap, and the total of those 2 numbers is 840. So we'll just make an adjustment to the contract that says the school capacity for the K-8 STEM school is 840, and we currently have a little over 600. It's like 602 or 607 kids combined. So it'll take us quite some time, I think, to get to 840, but it is a program that's growing, and we have capacity of 925 at Horning, so we have even more room if we need it.
So lots of seats open for STEM.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Harland.
Our final item was enrollment and school choice update. Mr. Pat reviewed the district's communications to families about enrollment and transportation for the 2026-2027 school year. The school choice application opened on January 5th, 2026, and will remain open through January 29th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. All school choice applications, regardless of the submission date, will receive equal consideration based on the following priorities. And we all received the nice flow chart. So first, any student whose attendance area was changed based on new district boundaries, and any student who was granted school choice in previous years and applies again for the same school they were attending. Second would be any student who has a sibling at the school that they were applying to. And lastly, any student applying for school choice for the first time. Dual language student placement was communicated to families separately. Dual language students may choose to apply for placement at another dual language school or any district school site through 4:30 p.m. on January 30th, 2026.
I'd like to clarify a typo in that first paragraph that says January 29th, 2026. It is everywhere and is truthful that January 30th, 2026 at 4:30 is the last time for our school choice application along with our school acknowledgement. January 30th, 2026 at 4:30.
Thank you for that clarification.
Mrs. Voigt.
I really want to compliment the creation of the flow chart, because this is very confusing to just hear it and like, what's the process that's involved there? And I think just seeing this is like, yes, this is much improved in terms of the area of communication for this process.
The Student Services Committee will meet next on Tuesday, February 3rd at 6 p.m. And this completes the Student Services Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Harlan. Our last committee for this evening is Human Resources and Compensation. Mr. Zenobia, any updates?
No, everything that was covered in our committee this evening was in the consent agenda, so we had nothing further to report out this evening. We'll meet again on the 11th of February.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll move to other business. Are there any recommendations for future board or committee action or discussion items? Seeing none, we do have a need to go to executive session this evening. We will not be returning. We'll be looking for someone to read item B. Mr. Wad.
I move we adjourn to executive session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub E for deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business wherever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. In this case, it's sale of district property.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Kozlowski. Mrs. Ettinger, will you take the roll call, please?
Diane Voigt,
Aye.
Betty Koenig,
Aye.
Natalie Gren,
Aye.
Carrie Kozlowski,
Aye.
Eric Brooks.
Aye.
David Wad.
Aye.
Thomas Harlan.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia,
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye, passes 9-0. With that, we will adjourn to executive session. Our next meeting is here in the boardroom on Wednesday, February 11th. Thank you.